Good afternoon, friends. Welcome. Thank you for being here to our Lunch and Learn for the Cheyenne Symphony Orchestra. And of course, great thanks to Laramie County Library for hosting us, as always. Could you give them a round of applause? My name is William Intriligator. I'm the music director and conductor of the Cheyenne Symphony Orchestra. I think you knew that. I'm always proud when I say that. I'm very, very happy to be your music director. We are on a journey this season exploring American composers in honor and celebration of our country's 250th anniversary coming up on July 4th. The concert that we have tomorrow night includes some special voices of American composers. Not literally, there's no singing involved, like there was beautiful singing last month. But no, composers who have a unique American spirit to their music. And I'm talking about Morton Gould, Ferdi Grofé, whose name doesn't even sound American, but it was. I mean, he was Ferdinand Rudolph von Grofé, but he was very American. And living composer Jeffrey Lippincott. Jeff Lippincott, our new composer in residence. Joining me on stage, would you please give a big round of applause to our familiar friend, Zuill Bailey. I have the pleasure of saying I've lost track of how many times we've performed here together. And you are an honorary Cheyenneite and Wyomingite, and we love you. And so thank you for coming back.
I think this is number 4. I think
4?
Oh, must be 5?
Well, I think you did maybe 1 or 2 with my predecessors too. But yes, I think with you and me, at least 4, maybe 5. Yes, it's wonderful having you, and now in this new role as artist in residence. And we're so excited that you're already involved in our community. Today, we'll talk a little bit about what you did this morning at our high schools. And then you'll be coming back to perform a solo recital in May at our Baroque in the Barn, which is very exciting. And so, yes, it's just very exciting to have this new residency, both for Zuill as artist in residence and Jeff Lippincott as composer in residence. Now, putting a little damper on things, I have to explain why Jeff Lippincott is not with us today. We found out Wednesday morning that he had a death in his family, and he has had to go be with his family in mourning. And so we are proceeding with the world premiere of his cello concerto, Pastorlands, with Zuill. And many of you are aware that we're also making a commercial recording of Jeff Lippincott's music, with recording the concert on Saturday night, but also Sunday we have multiple recording sessions with the orchestra and choruses and so forth. We're proceeding with all of that without Jeff, and we're doing it in sort of a loving tribute to his family and to honor him and to do it for him and them. So that on that slightly more serious note, our thoughts are with Jeff and his family. So, Zuill, how is it doing these world premieres? You were telling me that you have like 3 or 4 or 5 of them this year. You seem to be inspiring living composers to write music for you. Now, in the case of the Lippincott, I think this piece was written and then he presented it to you as an option, but many of the other ones you're doing this year are being written specifically for you. So tell us what's that like to be the guest artist to sort of initiate that, first performance.
Wonderful to be here. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. I'm in a very interesting phase of my life right now. I'm celebrating this year my 40th anniversary of my debut as a professional cellist. Go on. As well as this is my 50th year playing the cello. So,
yeah.
The what? I started when I was 4. I actually did. Our examples are, everything's coming full circle. Today's my son's birthday. He's 23. How did that happen? Oh, wow. I'm the age right now of all of my teachers that they were when I was young, like right now. and they were old. I remember, I'm 53, turning 54 this next year. I remember in 1987, being 16 or so, and going to hear this decrepitly old 60-year-old named Rostropovich celebrating his, and he looked so busted. I mean, he
Well, he lived through the Soviet Union.
I know.
It took its
I mean, he
wear
came out
on his
just like, oh my
face.
God, can he even move? And but his 60th birthday celebration at the Kennedy Center, he played 6 concertos, 3 a night, and each of those nights, most of them were, there were a couple Dvorak's and Elgars and Cessons, but most of them were pieces written for him. And growing up with that as the example, which he was the example for my entire childhood. He had 200 commissioned works that he did during his lifetime. In addition to championing the spell that? Championing the core repertoire of the cello literature. I play about
especially Shostakovich.
right, of course, but the core repertoire. I mean, I have learned and played about 27 different cello concertos. Well, you probably don't know half of them. The ones we celebrate, they're about 7. And so, there's business to this. Orchestras want to make sure their audiences are kind of thrilled and with familiarity as well. But Rostropovich was a force of, you've got to invest in the future, a sound investment. So can we do both? Can we invigorate the audiences, but also challenge them to move forward to see if one of these pieces could stick? And out of those 200 that he commissioned or premiered, et cetera, about 13 have become absolute core pieces. But being Rostropovich, that comes back to when you trust someone, you want to hear their story, and that becomes the common denominator. So having come here before and played Elgar, Dvorak, Doherty,
We'll talk about that.
and this kind of thing, hopefully I am that Rostropovich type, that familiar force, that that we're bringing you something that, in addition to recording, might be one of those pieces. And this is a very interesting piece. Actually, the Lippincott, a lot of composers came after me after I won the Grammy Award in 2017. I won for the piece that I came here for last, the Michael Doherty Tales of Hemingway. And being that I championed a new living composer, one that was composing, not decomposing, they're like, well, I want to write a cello concerto too. So several people came to me, and during the late teens, 2000 teens, but that was a funny time because, so the way this happened was that Jeff Lippincott came up to me and he introduced himself and he said, you might know my music, it's very cinematic, and he sent me the music and it seemed very cinematic, very much like Michael Doherty's piece. I said, but he knew the formula of how to make us feel certain things on a dime, kind of like John Williams. Where you feel like you're seeing something in the music that makes you feel like you're in a setting, cinematic. And then I looked him up, and his first gear, Jeff Lippincott, is writing television music. You might have heard of Shark Tank. You might have heard of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yeah.
You might want to hear, I think it was Love Island.
Right.
And Project Runway.
Yeah.
And
Huge shows. And he wrote the
huge
music.
shows, and like 100 of them. And so he makes his music writing cinematic moments that make you feel everything in about 3 or 4 seconds. And I feel that in this piece. And the first place he wanted to record it was Ukraine. He said, can we go do this in the Ukraine? And I said, I guess. This is back in like 2019. And he started looking, and then he found some place in Ireland, and he found other places, and
I think he was trying to avoid the expensive union orchestras in this country, maybe, or what was that? I don't know why. Maybe?
I think he also had relationships with them,
Okay.
but several, so then COVID happened, and then the wars started.
Yeah, in Ukraine. I mean, you were literally booked to do it in Ukraine, and then the war broke out, right?
Right, that's right. And then I started really digging in with the piece, and I started feeling the Americana of it. And I said, Jeff, this is fate playing its card right now, because there's a guy named William Intriligator that I want you to meet, who has this wonderful orchestra in the plains of Cheyenne. and this is called Pasture-Lands. And we've got America 250 coming up, U.S. Orchestra. This community really does support their own and live for a community, and it represents everything that your piece does. Can I pitch it to William? And that's how we got it here. Thank you so much. It's just a constant. You can't just sit in the passenger seat in life. You have to start driving, but you have to come up with ideas, and you never know what sticks. Just come up with 1,000 of them. And but I am a creature of fate. I am a creature of friendship, and I do believe in this is a cliche, I know, but things that are meant to be are sound investments. This is clearly one of them, that we get to do it live, that we've got. So the recording team that's here.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You've got the best. They've won 1 million Grammy Awards. In fact, the producer who's doing the producing of this recording is up for another Grammy Award for Producer of the Year, which she won last year.
Yeah, she just was nominated for again this year.
And she's in the house.
Yeah.
And the recording team is the top notch.
Yeah.
Thrilled to be here. And I also have over here, which I probably will show you before we're finished, a new cello to show you. A new old cello.
And a new book.
And a new book. But the cello was built 325 years ago. And they're making a book about this cello. So we get to document the cello before its full restoration. This cello is going under the knife in next month. Literally, it's going to be taken apart into 15 pieces and refurbished to be back in its original strength and importance. It'll take about 2-3 years to do it, but they wanted me to document it. So when it comes out and is rebirthed in 2027, that I can be the one to shake it back to life, to the sound that we hear in Cheyenne. So exciting.
And you might remember from previous visits that Zuill's other cello has been with him for many decades, and it's part of his life, part of him, and his part of the sound is also part of him. And you'll be also thrilled to know that this 325-year-old cello is by the same maker, but it's also very different.
Very different. Yeah. And just to make it personal, this cello maker is named Matteo Gofriller. I named my son Matteo after this maker, the one who has his birthday today. And so it's very, very personal. And this cello is marvelous, but like children, very different than the other.
You have 2 sons.
I have 2 cellos, 2 sons.
2 cellos and 2 sons. Yes, right. Well, you'll get to know Jeff better over the course of this season. We're going to bring Jeff Lippincott back. We're going to premiere his American Patriot Hymn, a piece that we commissioned for the country's 250th at our April Masterpiece concert. We'll also be performing a Cowboys suite of his at our Family Film Matinee in February. And some of you got to meet him at our Symphony Gala in September, where he was there with his wife and gave away some free CDs of another piece of his, the Frontier Symphony. So he is part of our community already. He wrote a piece for our Storybook Time for Little Kids, which premiered in September. And so he'll be also, we'll be performing that American Patriot Hymn not just in April, but also on our July 4th concert on the Capitol steps on July 4th in front of the state capitol. I'm not sure if you were aware of that concert yet, but that's going to happen with fireworks and a whole lot of hoopla. And Jeff will be here for that as well. So
you have to know it's very remarkable what you're doing, to have a composer in residence, a composer of that stature in residence, and as well as to have an artistic visitor, ambassador like myself, who is so loving of your community that they're willing to commit lots of time, lots of visits, lots of different facets. I was in schools this morning in your community playing for the high school, and I will be back in other. I am so invested in communities, and the reason why I signed up for this is because I know your community, and every time I come here, I feel like a big hug is happening. And that's the saying, it's not what you do in this world, it's how you make people feel. And I couldn't wait to land in Cheyenne yesterday. And as we were landing, oddly, I could hear Pasturelands in my head. And I could
see it.
I could see it, the golden meadows. And very interestingly, weirdly, I was in Spain this past week. I was driving from Madrid to Murcia, which is where Carlos Alcaraz is from, by the way, the tennis player guy. And as I was driving, there were these windmills. And I thought, well, this is very Don Quixote of Spain. and the tour guide said, well, this is exactly where Cervantes wrote Don Quixote.
Yeah.
This was the vista. And as I came in here and I saw the windmills, I went,
our windmills. Your wind turbines. I got you.
Yes, of course. But it literally looks the same.
That's so funny.
Spain and the
Did they
Roman
have
hills.
that? But roughly that. I mean, was it like that?
Yes.
It was so many. Wow.
So many.
In Spain.
Very interesting.
Very interesting.
A lot going on.
Well, you are quite the world traveler, and we're honored that you're back in Cheyenne and that you feel home here. I mean, we're very happy to have you here. Thank you for doing all the
You had
education.
short hair last time I was here. What's going on in your life, man?
Yeah. Well, we're thrilled also that you've done, 32 commercial recordings, won multiple awards, and you've chosen Cheyenne for your next recording. We're so honored.
Yes,
My pleasure. No.
Yeah.
These are markers. Recordings are what they are. I jokingly say that if you don't like it, it really makes a very commemorative coaster for your brain. But you do these things through life and you think they're what they are, but they're so much more important later because the process is what it is. But when you look back on these markers and you go, God, I was there and I remember they spark so many memories. Music and smells, they spark so many memories of who you were with, what you had for dinner, where you went afterwards, the conversations you had. And to document it like this, I know that because of experience that in 5 years, 1 year, 10 years, we're gonna put that on, and I'm gonna think of the turbines. I'm gonna think of this conversation. I'm gonna think of this cello that have already been rebirthed again, and that's why we do it.
Yes.
This is our life. Take care of it.
We do, yes. And while you're here this time, in honor of this piece that has movements entitled things like Calves at Play, Open Range, we need to get you out to the Hereford Ranch, maybe. Get with the cattle a little bit. I'm looking at my dear friends Sloan and Anna Marie back there. Yes. So I know you've been there many times to perform.
Yes.
I can't remember if we've taken you out on the ATVs and been with the cows. Well, you did with your sons at one time.
Yes, and that was the first time. I dragged them behind the ATV in the snow, and they were like 2 and 6.
They were so young when they
So
were
young,
kids.
yeah,
Yes,
first time.
That's true, yeah. That's so hilarious. So yes, you know about the Hereford Ranch and
Yes, I
everything
do.
else. Yes. Well, this piece, it's so, as you said, appropriate for Wyoming and our landscape and our sort of the way of life. Yeah, sure. You'll find it hard to believe that the original inspiration, and I'm even reluctant to tell you this because it sounds so Wyoming, but the original inspiration was some pasture lands that he was visiting in Oregon. No, it's not about Oregon, it's about Wyoming. I'm telling you right now. He's not here to refute that. But no, to do him justice, I do want to say that he was inspired by the actual, the landscape of our country. And not the cityscapes, the landscapes of our country. And this piece reflects that. I also am reluctant to tell you this, but there are moments to me that sound like it may have been, it could be plopped into a soundtrack of Dances with Wolves or something like that, right? That has a bit of that open vastness at times. Yes. But I didn't want to make any kind of comparison to that movie or its soundtrack. This piece is its own special, beautiful piece. So we have 5 movements. They're mostly connected. 4 movements. They're mostly connected. We have Awakenings, right? And then we have the Great Plains, Calves at Play, and the Open Range. Those are the 4 titles of these movements. And throughout, the cello is giving this incredible voice and emotion to it. But it's also helping to paint a landscape. This concert this weekend compared to all the other Americana concerts that we're performing all season long, perhaps describes the land more than any of these other concerts we have this season. Because of course we also have the Grand Canyon Suite by Grofé. And so that, plus this Pasturelands, is really maybe the reason why we entitled the concert Land That I Love, Land That We Love. So yeah, you got to meet one-on-one with Jeff about a month or two ago about the piece to go over the solo part. And again, you're juggling many other concerto performances, recital performances, all of your artistic director, administrative work for the numerous festivals that you were in charge of in Alaska, Arizona, and elsewhere, and of course Texas. And then on top of it, you're also learning new pieces. So, by the way, you never really answered how many world premiere cello concertos are you doing this season? It's like 4 at least, right? Or 3?
Yeah.
It's a lot.
You know, I before you stress me out, thank you.
Sorry, yeah. Thanks a lot.
No, I have, my newest gear is to be incredibly present. And my new saying is, the present is a gift. Because, yeah, I've got a lot coming up, but I'm not there yet, so I'm not worried about it. I'm here. And I had I was teaching the kids this morning about sleep. And I was saying, as you acquire new information and new experiences, make sure to build time for sleep, to have it go into the hard drive and become part of you. Don't force it. Build space in there to flex. I've been working on this piece for a while, and meeting him was quite interesting because we don't get to meet living composers a lot. We just assume, based on historic performances, that's the way we play it. But we changed a lot. I asked a lot of questions, and even in the rehearsal tonight will be very different because with an orchestra wrapped around us, it will become something entirely different. And that's the process. So I've got 4 or 5 of these type things coming up, and they're paced out a little bit, but all very different. And I just feel like I'm doing my part.
Yes,
and doing
sure
it. And are you able to come to the concert? I hope so, because you're going to see something different. You're going to see kind of like watching an operation at Harvard, looking down at the pit while it's happening, because there are halos of microphones everywhere. And I'm
For the recordings, right? Because the concert itself is being recorded.
I'm probably going to be playing slightly different, because usually I play to the last row, but I'm playing to 3 or 4 feet in front of me now. So every sound I make is about how it's being captured on that forever microphone. So it's going to be very intense, and you're going to be witnessing something that is very unusual and that might make you witness music different. And it's making my decisions in the music different. So for instance, this morning, one of the children, young adults, said, what's the hardest piece that you play? And I said, the simple stuff. Because you've got to make it sound simple. No one wants to hear, God, that piece sounds so hard.
That means
It means you're not good.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell the magic trick, Right. So I'll play some of it for you. And the point of this is that I'm trying to come up with, Jeff is not a cellist. He doesn't know which bow up or down that I do. And I have to look at my instrument as a storytelling song without words. The human range, the same as the human voice, but I look at my bow as the breath and my left hand as the diction. And so when I inhale, it's an up bow. When I exhale, it's a down bow. And I've been singing it over and over, and I've been playing it, trying to go back and forth to apply it. He has these expressive words in here, but how does that apply to a non-human cello? So when I play it for you now, you'll hear me breathing, you'll hear me feeling the rhythm and with my body, because I'm trying to internalize it. You'll also see in the concert that I won't be able to see William. He's behind me. So we have to feel it and breathe together. So I just asked him right before we walked out here, can you meet all afternoon? And of course he said yes. And so we're going to try to literally hold hands and breathe this piece together. So when we start the process of the dance and rehearsal as well as the concert, that we don't have to see each other. We are just friends having a wonderful conversation that will be documented. Here's some of Pastor Lance. This is called Awakenings. And I thought of this as I was waking up this morning for the. So it's very beautiful and simple, and I'll play for about 5 minutes. I'll play the whole first movement for you. It's pretty straightforward. Here we go.
You won't be able to hear necessarily all the beautiful, lush chords and harmonies that Jeff does, but it's gorgeous with this. It's gorgeous here. Also, the application too.
fascinating. So when you go back and listen to recordings, any sound, from the sound of a fan to a hearing aid to creaking of a seat, has to be removed because that becomes part of the piece. And on multiple hearings, that doesn't bother you. None of this stuff bothers you on a one-shot deal. But then you listen again and you hear that clap or that cough or that this. You kind of expect it next time. Oh, this is where the cough is. Oh, that's where the person leaves. And it becomes part of the show. There was a famous performance in New York where a world premiere that someone's phone went off.
Yeah, with Alan Gilbert, yeah.
Yeah, and well, there was
That's a separate.
and the audience went really bonkers, angry. And the composer who was there liked that reaction so much that they wrote it in the piece. And so 3 minutes and 28 seconds in the piece, someone's supposed to call someone's phone. Yeah.
Became part of the piece.
Yeah, and one time a phone went off at a concert and I was so angry at the person on the front row with the phone in their pocket, and I just stared at them playing, and the person was banging their chest trying to find their phone, and next to them they're like, "How dare you ruin our concert?" And what they didn't know was the phone was in my pocket. And I was so mortified. No, I knew it. When I was like, "How dare you?" So, and I say all these things because, those life moments I missed during COVID.
Yeah.
Because nothing is perfect and nothing is controlled, and I missed the baby crying, and I just missed that stuff because that's live concerts. We go to have fun, and stuff messes up, but that's why we go.
Yeah.
We want to see what's going to happen next.
Right.
That's very pretty though, the piece.
Beautiful
Yeah.
piece. You played it so
And the cello sounds all right.
The cello sounds amazing for being 325 years young.
It sounds old, yeah.
So, mentioning the patch session, when we go back to fix things and, take out those little coughs or the cell phones ringing or whatever, we might ask the audience to leave the concert quite quickly after Saturday night, tomorrow night, because we might have a patch session right after the concert while the musicians are still on the clock until 10 p.m. So, just fair warning, we might ask you to do that. It's not for sure, but we likely will.
And also, what you don't know, and I didn't know this until I started making live concerts, 5 minutes of that recording will be with the orchestra on stage sitting in dead silence. They record the room. So then they have the glue to fill in with the room sounds that don't sound different to people that are in the room or not in the room. So that's weird, because we can sit there
That's so interesting. Wow. Wow, you are making this piece you're bringing it to life so beautifully.
I feel it. Even we met last night and had a million more ideas, and I woke up this morning, I slept on it. Yeah, and I'm really, that's why I want to meet a lot today, because I want to get it into my fabric and my hard drive. Then we go to the orchestra tonight and we do all the things we're going to do, then we sleep on it. And then we've got all of that, but it feels very different today. I like it.
Good.
I do, I like it. This is different kind of music. We have one of the great composers on earth right now, other than Jeff Lippincott, of course, John Williams.
Yes.
He's still alive, and I say that with all respect that, we've taken for granted that this guy has been playing, recording everything for us for 50 years. And in 10 years or less, he may not be here anymore, and we will have lived during the time of a Brahmsian type composer that's making massive impacts.
And not just not just film music, but concert
Of course,
music.
no, it's amazing.
He's
So,
93 now, I think.
and they just named the Hollywood Bowl stage after him 2 days ago. So it's called the John Williams Stage. Yeah. So I love the language of music that makes us feel. I like being tested. I think Bach tests me in a good way, but but I don't like being lectured or beaten up like, you idiot. You need to know this, and, good for you. I don't like when people say necessarily that I need to hear that a lot more to see if I like it. I think there should be a middle ground. This is very accessible.
Oh, yeah.
I think I know you're gonna love it.
He wrote this piece to express something that was in him and to honor our country and to make it beautiful and to want you to like it. This is not written for the academics and the critics. He's like, to heck with them. It's music from the heart and meant to go to your heart.
One of the things I was teaching the kids this morning was about a lesson that I learned at about 21 about life, and this is way before social media and us watching what everyone else is doing. But someone said to me, and this I'm talking about Jeff Lippincott here, but someone said to me, the day you can embrace the uniqueness of who you are and fully express that, good and bad, is the day you no longer have competition. I love that, and that's what he's done here. Like, why would you write for critics? Why would you write for the two people in the 1,000-seat hall that are sneering at you? That's irrelevant. And the fact that he could be himself and be just this free, knowing that this is it. This is not a dress rehearsal. I feel it, yeah.
Would you mind playing the part where when you guys met one-on-one together, he said, I want this to sound like a cow.
Oh.
Do you mind playing that?
I'm still working on that.
Sorry. Or can you play the calves that play, the lovely third?
Yeah. Well, I'll show you the cow first. It's open range, and so I played it like this first. I've got to come up with because again, I don't have any examples to come up with. So he wrote. So now at my age right now, I'm so glad you all heard that too. Sometimes I hear voices and did you hear that? They're like, hear what? So the opening goes, and I said, well, Jeff, what about,
Yeah.
he goes, ooh. Can you make it more cow-like?
What do you think?
And then you have artistic discussions. Well, maybe the first one you make simple, like, and then the second one. Stay tuned. Yeah, and the calves that play.
Oh yeah, this is a fun one.
It starts. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That one.
That one, yes. Oh yeah, that's right.
So he said, what he wrote was, and it's written playfully, and I said, it's too precise. So I said, but how about... And I'm going to also do a little bit of slapping.
Yeah, I love that.
Because it's like hitting the horse. So,
Come on.
practicing, because they were with me in Spain. And he goes, so was that a hoedown? Yeah.
Well, I also loved how when you started that third movement with the da, and then you went into the playful little thing, that we had people laughing. They got the joke. You know, that is exactly how you wanted it.
But the issue with me is that I've got to come up with the technique to do that. No.
Spades.
Well, thank you for saying that. I make it look so easy. but there are, like, for instance, this, I could also go, did you see what I just did? I reversed the notes, the first one to have an open D string. The second one, I closed the D, so I didn't have to slide as forward. Sounds all right, it's very clean. That might come across on a recording better because it's precise but has the same flavor. But then I'm fighting this area of the cello. There's so many overtones that it starts to fight itself, and I want it to have the flavor without distortion.
Yeah,
so. Well, I just did it. So in the recording, I'd be like, use that one.
Are we recording right here?
Someone use that
Exactly. Oh, you're so fun. Do we want to talk to them about the part that's impossible that he wrote, that little weird DG thing, and how we have sometimes composers who aren't players, he's not a cellist.
So, yeah,
he writes something
there's
that's
one
not
note
really
here
possible.
that I have circled.
So look at how that red circle.
I don't know how to play it.
Yeah.
So
It's probably unplayable.
This is what he wrote. I'm going to play what I see. Now, the problem with that was right. That's what he wrote. But he also wrote something on top of that. He wrote an octave up.
For that high part.
For that high part. So, now, that was lucky. I got lucky on that one. So, if I were to play that the way he wrote it, I'd have to go. Now, that's fine maybe for a concert, but not for a recording. I can't. So I'm trying to find the trick.
Yeah.
And they're tricks. So. Those are false harmonics. I'm recalibrating the fingerboard. That's not guaranteed either. So this is the reason to buy a ticket. But what you won't know is whether I'm happy or not. And I'll give you a little hint. When I smile, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going well. So I don't know what to do. I mean, I could usually go, I can hit that 9.9 out of 10 times.
But that's the lower octave.
Okay, hold on. That's an odd,
So you go to the lower octave and then you go to the...
and I go to the lower octave knowing that I'm panicking, and then I'm like, whatever. And I
But we're here to tell us. You might say, oh, don't worry about that upper octave. We can ask him.
So what we're going to probably have to do is we're probably going to have to do one where I do the lower octave, probably in the concert, probably, and then we're in the patch session.
Yes.
Punch it in, have him see both, and decide which one he likes. That's called Frankensteining.
That happens. Oh, my friend, this is so great. You don't need to hear about the other pieces on the program. In fact, many of them are very familiar to you. The Grand Canyon Suite, beautiful, well-known. The one thing we did have to change in the concert is the very opening piece had 3 short movements, 3 minutes each, totally 9 minutes. Actually, with so much time that we have to spend on the recording project itself, we've decided to only play the first of those at the concert tomorrow. So don't worry, we're not going to hear the whole Gould Symphonette, but that's okay. And we've done it here, actually. Maybe like 10 or 12 years ago we did it, maybe. So, but yes, but...
Could I play the second movement for you?
Yes.
And I tell you why, because now they're short. So everything after the first movement is long, the others are like 3-4 minutes each. But this is helping me so much to feel your reaction. I can feel you going, oh. So this is called Great Plains. going somewhere. I'm playing the next move for you. This is Calves at Play. lost it halfway through.
The C string?
C string just went away.
Oh my God.
So,
we have to compensate.
the smiles were to cover that up. It was like,
It's good thing you have it now, not tomorrow night.
I know.
Not only thank Zuill for being such an amazing cellist and person and our artist in residence, how lucky are we? Could you give an equally enthusiastic applause for the man who wrote that music, who wanted to be here today with us, and who will be back in Cheyenne later in this season, Jeff Lippincott. Thank you, and Brian. Again, thank you so much for coming. We'll see you tomorrow night. Thank you to the Laramie County Library. Do you have any